He didn't wake up one morning wanting to be a legend. He woke up angry, not motivated, not inspired, angry. Angry at his body, angry at his past, angry at the world that kept telling him he was nothing more than a violent, loud, disposable man. C.T. Fletcher didn't start in the gym. He started in conflict, before the muscles, before the cameras, before the phrases people quote on t-shirts. There was a man who couldn't control himself, a man who believed respect only came from fear, a man who thought strength meant domination. C.T. grew up in an environment where anger wasn't discouraged, it was rewarded. If you were loud, you survived. If you were violent, you weren't touched. If you backed down, you disappeared. So C.T. learned early, pain talks, force wins, silence loses. School didn't save him. Authority didn't guide him. Rules felt like insults. Teachers saw a problem. Police saw a future inmate. No one saw a human being who didn't know how to exist without rage. And rage, unchecked, always looks for an exit. C.T. found his, in the streets, in confrontation, in choices that felt powerful in the moment and catastrophic afterward. He didn't think in decades, he thought in seconds. Then came prison. Cold walls, metal doors, time that doesn't move when you want it to. For the first time in his life, C.T. couldn't intimidate his way out. No yelling, no threats, no reputation, just consequences. Prison strips you, not just of freedom, of excuses. C.T. was forced to sit with himself, and he hated what he saw. A body built on aggression, a mind built on impulse, a future that led nowhere but deeper into the same cycle. Inside those walls, something shifted. Not hope, not redemption, control. He realized something brutal. If he didn't dominate his own anger, it would dominate the rest of his life. So he did the only thing he knew how to do. He trained. Not for health, not for aesthetics, for survival. Push-ups on concrete, pull-ups on bars meant to restrain men, workouts fueled by frustration and shame. Every rep was a fight, not against others, against himself. Pain became familiar, but now it was chosen, and that changed everything. C.T. discovered something most people never learn. Anger doesn't disappear. It transforms. If you aim it, it sharpens you. If you ignore it, it destroys you. Muscle by muscle, day by day, C.T. rebuilt his identity, not as a criminal, not as a victim, but as a man who could suffer on command. When he finally walked out of prison, he wasn't calm. He wasn't healed. He was focused. The rage was still there, but now it had a direction. And the world wasn't ready for what happens when an uncontrollable man learns discipline. Freedom didn't fix him, it exposed him. Outside prison, the world moved fast, careless, indifferent. Nobody cared that he had changed. Nobody waited for him to catch up. C.T. walked out carrying two things: a body hardened by discipline, a mind still wired for rage. Jobs were scarce, trust was non-existent. His past followed him like a shadow that never blinked. Every rejection felt personal. Every look felt like judgment. And the anger came back. Not explosive, boiling. This is where most stories break. This is where men relapse into old patterns. Violence, drugs, excuses. C.T. stood at that edge, and he didn't step back. He redirected. The gym became his refuge. Not the pretty gyms, not the influencer gyms, the iron rooms, the loud ones, the places where pain was understood without explanation. Steel doesn't care about your past. Weights don't ask questions. They only respond to force. Perfect. C.T. trained like a man running from himself. Hours at a time, no mirrors, no music for motivation, just breathing, sweat, impact. Each session wasn't about getting bigger. It was about not exploding. He didn't talk much. When he did, it was sharp, unfiltered, intense. People noticed, not because he was friendly, but because he was real. No fake smiles, no fake positivity, just raw truth wrapped in muscle. C.T. realized something dangerous. People were starving for authenticity. They didn't want polite encouragement. They wanted permission to suffer. So he gave it to them. He didn't say you can do it. He said, if you quit, that's who you are. Harsh, uncomfortable, effective. His reputation grew quietly, not online, in whispers. That guy's different. He scares me, but he's right. I train harder when he's watching. C.T. wasn't trying to inspire. He was trying to contain himself. But intensity is contagious. And rage, when controlled, becomes leadership. The streets stopped calling him. The chaos lost its grip. Because C.T. had found something stronger than anger, purpose with teeth. He wasn't healed. He was channeled. And that distinction changed everything. Strength attracts attention, not admiration at first, curiosity. People didn't ask C.T. for advice. They watched. They watched how he trained when nobody was clapping. They watched how he didn't complain. They watched how he never negotiated with the weight. CT didn't believe in motivation. He believed in commitment under pressure. Motivation disappears. Pressure reveals who you are. That philosophy leaked into everything he touched. Soon people started asking questions. How do you stay so intense? How do you push through pain? What keeps you going? CT's answer was never poetic. He said the truth, because I don't want to go back. Pain wasn't an enemy. It was a reminder. Every burning rep was prison walls fading further behind him. CT's body changed fast, not aesthetic, aggressive, muscle built like armor, veins like scars. His presence alone altered rooms. But here's the part people miss. The real transformation was internal. CT learned restraint. He learned to pause before reacting, to let the bar absorb his anger instead of another human being. That's growth most men never reach. Then the internet arrived, not with opportunity, with temptation, attention, validation, ego. Most men lose themselves there. CT did the opposite. He didn't soften his message. He amplified it. No filters, no polish. Just brutal honesty spoken straight into the camera. If you're weak, it's because you choose comfort. People either hated him or needed him. The phrase spread. It's still your motherfucking set, not a slogan, a challenge, a confrontation. CT became more than a lifter. He became a mirror, and people don't like mirrors. They show you what you avoid. Critics called him toxic, too aggressive, too intense, too much. CT smiled because he wasn't building fans. He was building fighters. The rage that once destroyed his life was now feeding thousands of others who didn't know how to face themselves. This wasn't fitness anymore. This was identity reconstruction through pain. And CT Fletcher was just getting started. Fame didn't arrive politely. It crashed in. Views exploded. Gyms filled up. People traveled hours just to train near him. And with attention came pressure. Not physical pressure, moral pressure. Be nicer. Tone it down. You're a role model now. CT heard it all and ignored most of it, because he knew something the critics didn't. Softening his message wouldn't save anyone. It would lie to them. CT never promised comfort. He promised truth under load. Life doesn't whisper, life yells. So he yelled back. But the body always keeps score. Years of abuse, street fights, prison stream lifting, they add up. CT started feeling it. Chest tightness, shortness of breath, fatigue that didn't feel normal. He ignored it. Of course he did. Ignoring pain was his specialty. Until the day his heart quit. Not metaphorically, literally. Multiple heart surgeries. Open chest. Doctors cutting through muscle he spent decades building. The irony was brutal. The strongest man in the room laid flat by his own body. For the first time since prison, CT was powerless. No weights, no aggression, no control, just a heart that didn't care about willpower. This broke something inside him. Not the rage, the illusion. He realized something terrifying. Strength without awareness is just another form of self-destruction. Recovery forced him to slow down, to listen, to adapt, to confront the fact that discipline isn't just pushing harder, sometimes it's stopping. CT didn't lose his edge, he refined it. The rage stayed, but it matured, no longer reckless, directed. He began talking about survival, not dominance, longevity, not ego, consistency, not punishment, same intensity, smarter target. People expected him to fade. He didn't. He evolved. CT Fletcher proved something rare. You don't outgrow anger. You outgrow what you aim it at. And that shift turned a hardcore lifter into a lasting empire. After the surgeries, the fear didn't leave. It stayed. Quiet, persistent, watching. Every heartbeat became audible. Every breath felt borrowed. For the first time in his life, CT wasn't afraid of other men. He was afraid of time. The old CT would have ignored it, drowned it in weight, bullied it into silence. This CT did something different. He listened. Training changed. Not easier, intentional. Each rep had a purpose beyond ego. Each session had an exit plan. Survive today, come back tomorrow. That was the new victory. And something unexpected happened. People listened more. Not because he was louder, but because he had almost died. Pain with perspective hits harder than rage alone. CT started telling the truth most men avoid. You can't hate yourself into a future. That hit different coming from a man built by hate. His gyms became more than iron rooms. They became sanctuaries for broken men. Ex-cons, addicts, fathers who failed, young men drowning in anger with nowhere to put it. CT didn't coddle them, he gave them structure, rules, discipline, accountability, no excuses, no victims, but also no judgment because he'd been where they were. This is where the empire really formed. Not in merch, not in videos, in identity transfer. Men walked in furious, they walked out focused. CT never claimed to be healed. He claimed to be responsible. Responsible for his rage, responsible for his influence, responsible for the men watching him choose control over chaos. He stopped being a warning. He became proof. Proof that violence can become discipline, that rage can become fuel, that prison doesn't get the final word. CT Fletcher didn't erase his past. He weaponized it for good. And that's why his legacy lasts. Not because he built muscles, but because he taught men how to carry fire without burning everything down. Legacy isn't decided by how loud your name gets. It's decided by who you change when nobody is filming. CT understood that because he had lived on both sides of being forgotten. The gems kept growing. The videos kept spreading. The quotes kept getting shared. But CT's focus narrowed. He stopped chasing reach. He started protecting impact. He noticed a pattern. Men didn't fail because they lacked strength. They failed because they had nowhere to put their aggression. Society tells angry men to calm down. CT told them to aim better. That difference saves lives. He trained men how to suffer on purpose. Cold mornings, heavy sets, uncomfortable truths. Not to punish them, but to teach them control. Because the man who controls pain doesn't need to cause it. CT became something rare. Not a motivator, not a guru, a filter. Weak excuses didn't survive around him, but broken men did. They stayed, they rebuilt, they learned to stand without rage spilling everywhere. And here's the paradox CT lived by. The more disciplined he became, the less violent he needed to be. That's maturity most men never reach. He talked openly about prison, not with shame, with responsibility. I earned it, he'd say. No deflection, no blame. That honesty disarmed people, because accountability is intimidating. CT's empire wasn't measured in dollars. It was measured in transformations that never made it online. Men who didn't relapse, men who didn't explode, men who chose training over destruction. And CT knew something critical. Rage doesn't disappear with age. It waits, so you must build rituals stronger than impulse. Training wasn't his brand, structure was. By the time people started calling him a legend, CT didn't flinch. Legends fade, systems endure. And he had built a system that turned chaos into order one rep at a time. There was a moment most people never saw. CT alone, no camera, no crowd, no weights moving, just silence, and a man who had already survived the worst version of himself. Fame is dangerous for someone built from rage, because attention feeds ego, and ego brings shortcuts, and shortcuts lead back to destruction. CT refused that cycle. He didn't soften his message. He didn't polish his past. He didn't rebrand his pain. He weaponized it. His heart surgeries changed everything. Doctors told him, slow down, relax, avoid stress, stop heavy lifting. CT heard something else, you're done. And for him, being done was worse than dying. He walked into the gym after surgery with a chest literally held together by scars. Every rep was a negotiation with death, but CT didn't train to look strong. He trained because stopping would mean going back to who he used to be, and that man terrified him. Pain became his reminder. If it hurt, he was alive. If it was heavy, he was present. If it was hard, he was still fighting. Comfort scared him more than suffering. People asked him why he pushed so hard. Why not rest? Why not enjoy success? Why not slow down? Because rest is where old demons start whispering. Silence is loud for men who used to live in chaos. So he stayed moving. CT never pretended to be healed. He never said, I'm fixed. I'm cured. I've overcome it all. He said, I'm managing it. That honesty saved more people than motivation ever could. The prison didn't disappear from his memory. The violence didn't fade. The rage didn't evaporate. It got repurposed into discipline, into structure, into purpose. That's the difference between destruction and dominance. His voice aged, his body slowed, but his presence got heavier because time strips the fake, and CT had nothing fake left to lose. Men listened to him not because he was perfect, but because he never hid his worst chapters. He stood there as proof. You can be dangerous and still choose not to destroy. You can be angry and still build. You can come from hell and not drag others back with you. Age did what prison and surgery couldn't. It slowed him down. Not enough to stop him, just enough to make him think. CT began to understand something uncomfortable. Intensity is easy when you're young. Consistency is the real test. He stopped trying to prove anything. No more chasing numbers. No more ego lifts for applause. The mission shifted. Outlast the impulse. CT started training like a man who wanted to stay alive. Longer warm-ups, smarter programming, relentless discipline without recklessness. The rage didn't vanish. It learned patience. This phase confused people. They wanted the old monster, the yelling, the intimidation. CT gave them something scarier, control. He talked more about responsibility, about fathers failing sons, about anger passed down like a curse, about men who never learned how to sit with themselves. CT didn't blame society, he blamed avoidance. You don't need therapy, he'd say. You need structure. Not because therapy was weak, but because chaos needs rules before reflection. His gyms became training grounds for adulthood. Show up on time, finish what you start, respect the room, own your mistakes. Simple rules, life-saving results. CT understood that strength is seasonal, bodies fade, voices crack, legends retire, but habits remain. So he built habits into people. The empire wasn't iron anymore, it was principles. Discipline beats motivation, pain reveals truth, control is the highest form of power. Those ideas outlived any workout video. CT Fletcher didn't become softer, he became wiser without becoming weak. That's rare. And maybe the most important thing he ever proved was this: you don't escape rage by running from it. You escape it by outworking it with intention. Near the end, CT stopped trying to be understood. He focused on being useful. Understanding fades, utility survives. He knew the internet would eventually move on. New faces, new trends, new heroes with cleaner stories. CT was fine with that, because he never built for popularity. He built for the men who didn't fit anywhere else. He spoke less about lifting and more about self-command, about waking up before emotion takes over, about choosing structure when motivation disappears, about refusing to let your past decide your next reaction. This wasn't fitness, this was containment. CT understood a brutal truth. Most men don't need more freedom. They need constraints, rules, routines, standards that don't negotiate. Without them, anger leaks into everything. He never apologized for his intensity, but he owned its cost. I scared people, he admitted. I hurt people. I broke things. No justification, no excuses. Ownership. That ownership made his words heavier, because nothing carries authority like a man who has already paid the price. CT Fletcher didn't clean up his story. He let it stay rough, because polished pain helps nobody. As his body weakened, his message sharpened. He told young men, if you don't build discipline early, you'll spend your life apologizing later. That wasn't advice. It was a warning. CT never asked to be a role model. He became one by refusing to lie about consequences. And here's the quiet truth at the center of his life. The rage never left. It just stopped driving. That's what mastery looks like. Not peace, positioning. You place your anger behind you, not in front. CT Fletcher didn't defeat his demons. He put them to work. Toward the end, CT stopped talking about winning. Winning was loud. Winning was temporary. He talked about not going back. Back to reacting instead of choosing. Back to letting anger decide. Back to living minute to minute like everything was a threat. That was the real enemy. CT understood something most people never articulate. Rage isn't the problem. Direction is. When rage has no target, it turns inward or outward. When rage has structure, it becomes drive. That single distinction saved his life. He looked at his scars differently now, not as trophies, as receipts. Each one proved a price had been paid. Each one warned that prices never stop. CT didn't mentor people softly. He didn't say, find your passion. He said, find what keeps you from destroying yourself. The men who stayed around him long enough learned something simple and brutal. You don't rise above your past. You out-discipline it. As his physical strength faded, his authority grew. Because authority doesn't come from force. It comes from control under pressure. CT no longer needed to shout. His presence did the work. Silence from a disciplined man is louder than screaming from a broken one. He accepted his limits, not with surrender, with strategy. Train smart, live long, stay accountable. Survival became the new victory condition. T. Fletcher's story isn't about fitness. Fitness was the vehicle. The destination was self-command. And that's the hardest transformation of all. Anyone can get angry. Anyone can get strong. Very few can learn to aim fire without burning themselves. CT did, and that's why his story matters. CT used to believe respect came from fear. Fear makes people listen fast, but it makes them leave faster. He learned that the hard way. The gym changed, not the weights, not the walls, the energy. People didn't come to watch him rage anymore. They came to borrow structure. CT stopped being a warning. He became a reference point. If he can hold himself together, so can I. That was new. He talked openly about failure, not motivational failure, moral failure. The moments when he knew better and still chose worse. Those stories hit harder than any PR lift because they removed the excuse. If a man with prison time, heart surgery, and a violent past could choose discipline daily, what was everyone else waiting for? CT reframed strength again. Strength wasn't how much you could push. It was how much you refused to give in. To impulses, to ego, to old habits that felt familiar but poisonous. He warned people, your past doesn't chase you, it waits. That line stuck. Most people think time heals them. CT knew better. Time only reveals whether you've built systems or just distractions. The empire grew quietly. No hype, no polish, just consistency that bored weak-minded people and attracted the serious ones. CT didn't promise transformation. He promised discomfort and honesty and repetition. That's why it worked, because nothing about it was fake. He wasn't selling hope. He was selling responsibility, heavy, uncomfortable, non-refundable. And the people who accepted that weight walked out different. Not louder, not angrier, steadier. CT Fletcher didn't save people. He taught them how to stop self-sabotage long enough to save themselves. That's leadership. CT never escaped his past. He outgrew it. The anger never disappeared. It just lost control. It became fuel, not the driver. Most people try to erase who they were. CT did the opposite. He owned it. Every scar, every bad decision, every consequence. That honesty gave him authority, not the loud kind, the kind people listen to when they're alone. He understood something early. You don't rise by pretending you're healed. You rise by building rules stronger than your impulses. CT didn't preach positivity. He preached discipline when motivation is gone. Because motivation lies, discipline keeps promises. The fitness empire wasn't about bodies. It was about control. Control over anger, over ego, over the urge to self-destruct when life gets heavy. CT's real legacy wasn't muscles. It was this idea: your darkest trait can become your strongest asset if you stop letting it drive. Prison didn't end him. Violence didn't define him. Rage didn't consume him. He trained it. That's the difference. Most people fight their demons. CT put his demons on a schedule, and that's why he won.